What's up guys, it's another video, and pending the release of Animal Crossing New Horizons on March 20th, 2020, it got me thinking of what new fish and bugs they might add to the game, and that got me thinking of fish and bugs that I personally would want them to add to the game. So this is the first part, which is 10 fish that I hope that they put in Animal Crossing New Horizons. And most of these fish are fish that are near and dear to my heart that I've seen personally, or I've owned like as a pet or something like that, or that I think are just pretty darn cool. And not all of them obviously are actually fish, sort of like this first one. So the first fish that I would like to see in Animal Crossing New Horizons is an ocean-dwelling planktonic tunicate, and it's called a salp. Now, I used the quotations around the word fish because they're not fish at all. And despite looking a little bit like small jellyfish without tentacles, they're actually more closely related to us than they are to jellies. Go figure, huh? But they are extremely common in oceans all over the world. So if you've been to the beach at all and have been in the ocean, then you've definitely seen these guys swarming around, whether in singles or in long chains of them. And if they were in this game, here's the stats that I would give them. They would be found in the ocean all year and all day. They would only be about 1 inch long with a tiny shadow. They would be common, and they would sell for only about 100 bells. The next fish I'd like to see in New Horizons is the Wells catfish. And if you live in Central, Southern, or Eastern Europe, you know exactly what I'm talking about, because this monstrous fish can grow up to 16 feet long and 660 pounds. That is insane, considering that the largest catfish in my area is the flathead catfish, which normally only grows to about 20 pounds. Some can get bigger, because my grandfather actually caught one that was like 28 pounds one time. I feel like this would make a great addition to the rare fish in the game, because yes, this fish would definitely be rare. And here are its stats. It would be found in river pools from May through September all day. They would be 96 inches, almost 100 inches, pretty big, with a huge shadow. They would obviously be rare, like I said, and I would have them sell for about 10,000 bells. I think that's fair for how big they are. Next on the list is a shark that a lot of people know for swimming up rivers and being able to survive in fresh water, even being seen as far as Illinois, which is about 700 miles from the ocean up the Mississippi River. I'm talking about the bull shark. And just like in the real world, in this game, I would have the bull shark be in the river as well as in the ocean. Since we already did add a new shark, the whale shark, I thought, why not add another one? And this one can live in 2 different habitats. Here would be its stats. It would be found in the ocean and only the lower part of the river, not the higher part if there actually are higher rivers. From June through September, from 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. They would be 94 inches with a huge shadow and a fin sticking out of the water, just like the other sharks. They would be rare just like the other sharks, and they would sell for about 8,000 bells. Now, speaking of sharks, this next fish is actually a counterpart, and it's called the remora. These guys attach to many different oceanic animals, mainly sharks and rays, to feed on them. And by feed on them, I mean not like eat them or anything like, but they're feeding off of like debris and feces that the shark produces. And the shark also gets a little bit of cleaning, so it's kind of a mutual thing. And because of this attachment, I think in New Horizons they should add these remoras only on sharks. Any kind of shark you could think of in the game. So it's like you're catching 2 fish for the price of 1. So considering all of these sharks are pretty rare, yeah, the remora is gonna be pretty rare as well. So here would be its stats. Found in the ocean, obviously, on any type of shark, from June through September, and they would be there all day because there are different times that the different sharks are out. So yeah, all day. They would be 29 inches. They wouldn't have a shadow because they're attached to the sharks. They would be rare, and they would sell for 3,000 bells. Not too bad. Now this next entry is near and dear to my heart because I actually owned 3 of these guys a few years back. I'm talking about tiger barbs. You can pretty much find them in any pet store that sells fish or in their natural habitat in Southeast Asia, making them strictly a tropical fish. So these guys will only be out for a couple months during the summer. So here are their stats. They would be found in the river, obviously they're freshwater fish, and they would be able to be found between July and September from 9 a.m. to 4 p.m., the daylight hours when they're normally active. They would only be about 3 inches with a tiny shadow. They would be uncommon, not too common, not too rare, and they would sell for a modest 1,000 bells. The next entry on this list, like the salp, is actually not a fish, but it is one of the most recognized critters in the sea. I'm talking about a starfish. And since there are so many species of starfish, we're gonna go with the common starfish because, you know, it's probably the most common. And here would be its stats. It would be found in the ocean all year from 9 a.m. till 4 p.m. It would be 8 inches with a small shadow. They would be common and they would sell for about 400 bells then. Now, the Animal Crossing series is no stranger to crustaceans, having crustaceans in the fish category and one in the bug category. Which one is it, you're asking? Well, pill bugs are actually crustaceans that live on land. They have gills, they can breathe water. So yeah, that's why they like living under rocks and stuff, because there's lots of moisture. So what better one to add than a spider crab? Specifically, the Japanese spider crab, because oh boy, these guys are massive and it would be cool to have them in the game. These crabs have the largest leg span of any arthropod, let alone crab, maxing out at 18 feet from leg to leg. Just, okay, stop and imagine that a little bit. That's 3 of me. I'm about 6 feet tall. 3 of me laid out on the ground. And yeah, that's how long these things are from leg to leg. And they can also weigh up to 42 pounds. Talk about all you can eat, am I right? But jokes aside, here's what the stats would be. It would be found in the ocean from March till July, between the hours of 4 p.m. till 9 a.m. So evening until early morning. They'd be 144 inches with a huge shadow. They would be rare and they would be worth about 6,000 bells. Now, as far as amphibians go in the Animal Crossing series, they only have frogs, and frogs can only be found in ponds. So I thought, why not add an amphibian that lives by and in rivers? I'm talking about salamanders. And since there are so many salamander species, let's go with the most common one that I could think of. So the spotted salamander, let's go with that. This one's another one that's kind of close to home because my brother and I, along with our friends, used to go down to this creek near my grandmother's house. We'd find crayfish, small minnows. We would just like chill in the creek somewhere. And then basically what we would do was we'd flip over rocks and we'd find salamanders and other stuff like bugs and different things. And salamanders were the coolest thing that we would always find down there. They were these yellow and blue striped ones. They were really cool looking. So I'd like to capture a little bit of that magic in New Horizons by being able to catch these guys. So here would be their stats. They would obviously be found in the river from March until September, from the hours of 9 a.m. till 4 p.m. They would be 6 inches with a small shadow. They would be fairly common, not completely common, and they would sell for about 500 bells. For years, I've been fascinated with this one type of fish that I've always seen at aquariums, and they're always swimming with sharks, the more prominent fish that are in the tank. Because besides the fact that they have silver scales, which is really cool, they kind of just look like a normal dull fish, except for the fact that they're, I don't know, like 8 feet long sometimes. I'm not used to seeing fish that look so plain and normal looking that big. And I'm talking about the tarpon or the tarpon. I'm not exactly sure how to say it. Now, you guys have probably never heard of this fish because no one really pays attention to them when they're at aquariums. Some of these things are bigger than a few of the sharks in the tank. I'm not even kidding. I'm just in awe whenever I see them, but other people, they just don't really pay attention. So hopefully, if they would put it in New Horizons, more people would give it a chance because these are the stats. They're not too bad. They would be found in the ocean and lower river because, fun fact, tarpons or tarpons, just like bull sharks, can swim in fresh water. They would be found from June through September, and they would be there all day. They would be 84 inches with a huge shadow. They would be scarce. Now, I'm not talking about the YouTuber Scarce, who seems to be scarce nowadays now that I think about it. I'm talking about it in the literal sense, meaning that it's hard to find, but it's not like completely rare. And they would sell for about 4,000 bells. Pretty reasonable. Now to end this list with a bang, or a sting, I guess. This is the rarest and most expensive fish on the list. If you've seen the show River Monsters, I think you know just how big these things can really get. And you might know what I'm talking about by this point because I said sting and also something about river monsters. I'm talking, of course, about the giant freshwater stingray, reaching over 6 feet wide and, get this, up to 1,300 pounds. That's more than half a ton. This flatfish is nothing to sneeze at, and here would be its stats. It would be found in the river from July through September, from 9 a.m. till 4 p.m. It would be 72 inches with a huge shadow. It would be very rare, meaning that it's closely up there with the likes of the coelacanth, but the price is slightly below that at 12,000 bells. Well, that's it for my time, guys. Remember to like the video, subscribe if you're new here, hit that bell to get all notifications whenever I upload if you love Animal Crossing, and comment down below some fish that you would like to see in New Horizons. And I will see you guys next time.